we're recording. Yes, we are recording. Here we are, two guys again.
And we're
Welcome.
the same two guys.
We are the same, in fact, the same two guys. When we had the last Album of the Month Club, somebody had said that it was appropriately named Two Guys Talking. He said, isn't that every podcast? And lo and behold, not wrong.
Yeah.
Not wrong. This week, we're going to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Where do you land? Where do you land on that?
Well, where I land on it, it's one of the reasons why I'm going to retire.
Okay.
The other being that I turned 70 and it's time. But even if I hadn't turned 70, I think I've lost my patience. It seems like to me, it's yet another way students are trying to take a shortcut to do the work that a college student is expected to do, at least in the English department.
Sure, for sure.
And to me, it's totally frustrating that you would pay that much to go to a college to have whoever ChatGPT is, to have ChatGPT write your essay for you.
Yeah, my feelings on AI are a little bit mixed. I was recently in an MBA program, and the reason I left was a result of AI. I was not doing any of the work. All of the work was being done by AI. And I'm like, why am I paying to be in this program that I'm not doing any of the work for? And I'm not learning. I wasn't learning anything anyways. I wasn't learning anything new, but I certainly wasn't exerting any energy to learn anything new. If I knew I could fly by with just banging in something into ChatGPT. The flip side to that is I realize its inherent badness. I don't think it's evil, because I don't think it's evil. It's not going anywhere. So we have to wrestle a way to accept and build it into our lives. And for me, that's meant using it as an editor sometimes in things that I've written, because I can't self-edit as much as I'd like to be able to. So that's helpful, but I don't know. It's a tough position because people have such strong feelings about it.
Yeah, I do have a colleague who teaches communications, and he is trying to figure out a way to actually build it into how he's teaching his communications program. I don't know what he's going to end up doing, but he kind of agrees with what you were saying there, that it's not going away. Students are using it. Why not try to help them use it responsibly, in the way that we can use Wikipedia responsibly?
Yeah.
Not to consider it a source, but it can take you to places that you might not otherwise get to. So yeah, that makes sense. But he's about 25 years younger than I am, and has a lot more patience with it all. And I get that. I think every piece of new technology that comes along, I have been able to roll with it, figure it out, learn how to use it. Whether when I first started teaching, no one used a computer. And this tells you how long I've been teaching. No one did it. No one thought about it. I had finally gotten a computer a few years earlier just to write my dissertation. If you remember what an Apple IIc looked like, you had to, well, anyway. And it was so helpful because you could revise so easily.
Yeah.
But no student really came to college back in the late 80s and early 90s with a computer. And then it just changed everything so quickly. There was no internet, then there was the internet. And of course, it was easy to use that as shortcuts, but we worked through all that. So I think it's just finally one more thing that I don't have patience with to bother to learn the good things with, even though I have used it for some pretty good things, including researching certain health issues.
Sure, for sure. It's certainly helpful in that regard. More helpful than Google, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty amazing. For instance, my wife did this. I wouldn't have thought to do it, but she just put in there what are the odds of prostate biopsy coming out a certain way with this information. And it was so incredibly precise. And in some ways, it was really reassuring
Oh,
because it told you pretty much what you wanted to hear, even if your news wasn't initially good. And so I was thankful for it
good,
in that.
good. Um, I think it serves a purpose. There's another debate kicking around. I'm looking for work, so sometimes companies will ask for cover letters. And cover letters to me are a waste of time. They're just silly and superfluous. They just don't serve a purpose. So I will have ChatGPT or Claude write up a cover letter, blast it in there. And well, lately on LinkedIn in particular, there's been discussion about people getting cranky about applicants using AI to generate cover letters. It's like, well, then stop asking for them. You're not reading, you're having an AI read them. So you're going to have an AI read them. I'm going to have an AI write them. So I don't, that's a wash as far as I'm concerned.
I really, that's just strikes me so funny because, as you know, when you submit anything, if you're writing and submit a piece to whatever journal you're submitting it to, of course, you have to have a cover letter, and it is the same. I try to say a little bit about the piece I'm writing, and at the time I'm doing that, I wonder, is anyone going to read this? And then every now and then a journal will say, don't give us a cover letter. No one's going to read it. We just want to know, we need a bio. And if we need more information from you, your piece should tell us what we need. And I thought, wow, how honest, how wonderful, because I'm so tired of the same little form cover letter. I haven't tried using AI for it yet, but I can see doing that.
Do you have to write abstracts for your papers?
You would, if this were, yes, if this were an academic article. I have, for instance, submitted a proposal to that wonderful series 33 1/3, where you
Right.
do, album review. So you have to submit an abstract for something that you probably haven't written yet. And so that's an interesting thing. So here's what I'm going to say in my abstract. But yeah, they did require it, and other scholarly places do require it.
Can I ask what the 33rd and the third is about?
You may ask it, and I tell you, I'm of mixed emotions whether I hope I get it or not. But the album is going to be Tammy Wynette's Divorce.
Okay.
And I chose it because I love the record, and I've taken a real deep dive into her over the past year or so. And I've gotten, I think, almost every one of her records on vinyl. But I found out that she also lived near where I lived in Alabama, so that's part of my obsession with her. But I also saw that they had done very few country records in the series, so I thought maybe I would have a better chance of proposing an old country record, and we'll see. But they have really specific requirements, and it can be a little intimidating. And so, yeah, I think I know what I'm doing, but I'll be disappointed if they don't take it, but I might also be relieved.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great series. It's a great series. Do you use AI? Do you use AI at all in your recreational writing?
I do not. The only thing I ever do is, I was writing on a country singer yesterday named Waylon Payne.
Right.
I was doing it for Buddy Gott's series on Pub Beat for Pride Month. And I just sometimes I was actually looking up the lyrics to one of his songs, and it showed me a couple of articles. Also, I don't think AI was doing this, but just Google was doing it. And if AI showed me an article that I should read, I would be glad to, but I don't ever really use AI to assist in the writing. Since I teach English, I'm pretty good at proofreading my own stuff and don't need Grammarly, for instance, which I'm fine with Grammarly if you need to check your grammar and your spelling. That's great. I didn't realize, though, that it generated outlines for you if you were writing, say, a freshman composition.
I did not realize that either.
Well, I learned the hard way because a student did honestly ask me if he could use Grammarly to help, and I thought he just meant grammar, and I said, sure. And then if you use it to plug in a topic for an outline, this is how you know that a student really hasn't done this themselves. It will give you a great outline, and it will use the word premise. And I don't want to insult any freshman student. Not many of them are going to be using the word premise when it comes to formatting their outline. So then I noticed that this honest guy was one of many who was using the same program. And since the topic was a very specific topic on Stephen King's Salem's Lot, then it seemed like many people had the same thesis. And in their outline, they had the same exact wording. And to me, that's cheating.
That is cheating. I would be inclined to agree with you.
They could argue that, well, they just used it as a guide to model themselves and to generate. And one of them did say, I'm just using it to help me generate more ideas. And I'm saying, but you didn't come up with those ideas.
Right.
Something else did. So that's not your own work, right?
Did they end up agreeing with you?
Well, they kind of look at me like, you're being a real pain in the ass. And maybe I am being a pain in the ass, but I've gotten used to many things that changed in the language that, as a teacher who's supposed to count off for grammar, I've quit counting off for. But I don't think I'm ever going to count off for the fact that you are turning in something that is not your own work.
And you, to be clear, qualify AI-generated content as not being the writer's own work.
That's right. I love the many articles, the many pubs on Medium, for instance, that refuse to take any AI work. And most of the journals I'd submit to refuse to take it because who knows how, once you're using it to help you figure out this idea, who knows what other ideas are there. And I think we still are living in a world where there is some degree of integrity within the creative and the scholarly writing community that this should be your own. People have always cheated. They've always figured out a way to cheat.
Right.
It's mind-blowing, though, in creative writing when you do it, because I'm not sure at our college you don't have to. I think there is an emphasis in creative writing as a major, but most people who do it are excited about their own creation, not an AI creation, but every now and then someone will do it. I know.
I
wonder.
I think there's a place for it. I don't know what that place is. And I think that place will be different for everybody. But I think accepting that it's not going anywhere is going to be a big hurdle for some folks to overcome, because they're so angry about it and vehement. And I can't drum up that much anger about it.
Well, I don't know that I'm angry about it per se.
Right.
In some ways, I find it amusing too, because now the anger part is if I clearly say in my syllabus and instructions, you may not use AI. Any use of AI could cause you to fail the paper. And usually even then, I'll still give a student a chance. Did you know this was AI? What did you use here? And if they admit it, then I'll say, okay, I'm not going to fail it this time, but I am going to take off enough points to make it hurt. And if you do it again, I have had some repeat offenders early on, and I got to a point where, okay, you're just driving me crazy. Here's your D, be happy, leave me alone. But the funniest thing, the way I first noticed it, and I felt like I was in a nightmare somewhere and didn't know where I was. So I gave some students some in-class writing, gave them the whole period to do it. It was a question concerning Faulkner's novel, Light in August, which we had been reading. And so later I started reading their work, and I'm reading this kid's work, and I'm noticing that one of the main characters died in the novel, and he doesn't die in the novel. And so I'm thinking, did I miss something? I've read this novel a million times. What is going on here? And I just didn't know. So I emailed the student. I said, I don't know how to evaluate what you've done because you've got many details in here that are just wrong. They just didn't happen. And he says, oh, well, I'm not sure what to do. And I said, well, can you give me your source? And he said, I just got it from the internet. And still I'm thinking, well, it must be he read some weird article or read something on the web and he just decided to use it. It never occurred to me that he had generated an AI response, because AI, if they haven't read the novel, if AI hasn't read the novel or whoever's doing it, it doesn't know. And the same thing happened with another student retelling the plot of The Last Picture Show, which if you haven't seen it, it's a really, really depressing film.
Mm.
But all of a sudden in this student's writing, everyone who was in the little town, whatever the name of this town was, that little sleepy town in Texas, all of a sudden they were at the end of the movie gathering at the cafe to reminisce and laugh about old times. And I'm thinking half of the characters die, the other half hate each other. That didn't happen. And I tried to explain to the student, and said, well, you must think I cheated. I said, well, yeah, I think you cheated.
Yeah. Have you used any of those anti-AI tools, those software applications where you can take text from, from somewhere and put it into this platform, and it'll say, all right, 80% of this is original, 5% is AI. Do you use any of those tools in your
many of my colleagues do. I haven't. I've tried to handle it more personally and just ask them, because I actually also want them to own up real quickly. But I could do that. They would own up if I use that tool. Maybe I'm just lazy and don't want to use the tool. Maybe I'm at the default point where, okay, I'm going to teach one more semester and be done.
Yeah.
But Keith, I teach, I think, such fun courses. So I'm going to next spring, my last semester, I'm teaching the course in rock and soul literature again. And I'm just thinking, you don't have to take that course. Why are you going to take that course? It's going to count only as an elective, and then shortcut it all the way through.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I'll tell you something else, and then, I'll quit talking for a minute. You can weigh in. I'm teaching at a great school here in Greenville. It's a governor's school for the arts, and it's a summer program. And the students, they're all rising 10th graders, and they have to apply. And there are many different programs they can apply for, but this is creative writing. And what I'm noticing is, give them a prompt. They pull out their notebooks that they're given, and they handwrite, and they'll write for as long as you'll give them to write. And then they'll read what they wrote, and they're so excited, and they give each other feedback. And in so many ways, this is much more refreshing than dealing with college students who seem to me to be more and more trying to figure out how to beat the system instead of actually doing their work. Not all, but
yeah,
significant percentage. So I'm loving teaching these 15-year-old kids who are just, I don't know, they're excited about writing.
That's awesome. That sounds like a great little workshop environment.
It is. It is.
It
is. And they are already writing about subjects like eating disorders, being bullied about weight, being sexually harassed in the 6th grade by other 6th graders. And these 3 days into it, they are confessing already in their writing these horrible things that have happened. And maybe that's, you could say maybe that's 15-year-old drama, but if you listen to what they wrote about, you would understand that it's not just drama for drama's sake.
Jesus, what the hell's going on down there? What's going on anyway?
South Carolina. We've got nothing but trauma down here.
Well, it's not stereotyped now. But yeah, I mean, in our little writing community, there are people that are just really strong, have strong feelings about AI, and I can't bring myself to do that. I think there's a place for it. I think there's not a need for it, but it's here. It's a tool. It can be used and used judiciously. It doesn't have to be. But I don't know. I does that make me a cop? I wrestle with it every time I'll throw something through AI. I'll be like, all right, act as a New Yorker editor, edit this piece, you know, and they will.
Yeah.
And I feel sometimes that I'm cheating the system by doing that.
Well, I think the good way of looking at that for those of us who don't have agents or real editors to work with in our own personal writing, uh, how many times have we said, I wish I had a good editor just to help me figure out what would work better? And so, short of a person being there to do it, I see no problem with getting AI to help you in that regard. It's not really generating ideas, but it might be making valid suggestions.
Yeah. And it's always up to the writer whether or not they choose to use those suggestions or accept them,
True, true.
you know. But I don't
Well,
know.
another way, my wife used ChatGPT when she was working on, um, well, she and I were working on a book for our granddaughter last year. We decided
Oh,
we were going for her birthday present instead of getting her yet another object. And this kid, if you walk into her playroom, you would think you're walking into the toy department at Target. Um, so instead of that, we thought we'll just write her a book. And so we did. I wrote most of the text, and my wife made some suggestions. And then she said, I'm going to design the book. And she just asked ChatGPT to draw her a picture of, along certain lines. And it did. And so she just kept changing it and playing with it. And it was wonderful. Again, that doesn't seem to me to be cheating, and it was a book that we were just doing privately, and it was amazing what it came up with. So
yeah.
fine.
Where do you land, or what do you think about the the argument that AI, in particular with writing, well, with in particular with everything, is copyright infringement because it's scraping the internet for all of these things. So if I go in and I say, act like a New Yorker editor to edit this piece, it's pulling its knowledge from the New Yorker database,
Mm,
unbeknownst to the New Yorker, or uncompensated, not compensated for doing it.
yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think, I wanna mull that one over. I wonder if there's a way, if you knew specifically that they were getting things from the New Yorker, as you said, if there's a way you could credit the New Yorker for inspiration or as a great working model. I'm not sure about that. It doesn't sound like to me that anything illegal is going on necessarily. Um, but I don't know, since I'm not at the New Yorker, how they would feel about
My understanding is nobody feels great about it.
it.
That there's a lot of anger about, and there it's being litigated now.
Mhm.
I think the Times actually settled something with ChatGPT where they paid them a fee, or it's an ongoing fee. I forget which it is. I think it was the New York Times. But
I mean,
yeah, that's
yeah, I can understand their point of view, and I guess I would ask the writer at this point to just be honest about, well, how much did it help you? What did it help you with? Did it help you, again, come up with ideas that you wouldn't have come up with? If it just points you in a certain direction, or if it's just kind of shaping and editing, I don't think that's so bad. But what is it actually doing for your piece? And so if you're not willing to look at that hard enough, then I'm wondering if, again, you're just using it improperly. I don't really know though, because I haven't done that. I'm not trying to impugn anyone's character for trying it, because I really don't know what it can do.
Well, how do you feel about all the big data centers? Do you have an opinion? You seem to be a hippie-ish kind of guy.
Like, give me an instance, for instance, of what kind of data center you're talking about.
Well, one of these huge AI data centers that people are hemming and hawing about because they have to demolish so much land to build them, and the resources that'll be needed to run the AI center.
I haven't thought about it, but it does seem like we're creating more and more problems as we get into this.
Yeah.
I mean, is Amazon a problem? Do you find Amazon a problem?
I think there are elements of Amazon that are problematic. Yes, I
I
do.
think that's what I would say about these data centers. And I don't know what those elements are, but like so many other things, technologically speaking, scientifically speaking, we put out things, we create things, we test things, and it's impossible to know all the consequences. And maybe it's an act of faith, maybe we wouldn't be where we were without someone being innovative, but I just think we don't really know what we're doing. And if we're responsible, then we can correct what we're doing if we find that it's become too dangerous. Um, I don't know. We can go back to guns and the people who started inventing assault rifles and fully automatic weapons. Okay, maybe that worked for combat, but if you didn't have them, if no one had them, where would we be? Did
Right.
anyone ever think that when you created these, they were going to be used irresponsibly?
And you're not going to go deer hunting with an automatic weapon.
No, that's what someone tried to argue with me one time. We can use this for deer hunting. And I'm thinking, I thought the purpose you want to bring back some trophies, and it seems like you're not. If you're, and isn't that really an unfair advantage? And
It's already an unfair advantage, but when you've got an assault rifle, it
yeah,
just doesn't seem.
I keep thinking, try the bow and arrow. Not that I've ever done that, but really
Yeah.
make it hard on yourself and give the animals a sporting chance if that's what you want to do. But that was just a for instance. I think there are many things. Did anyone who created the internet think that a primary purpose for the internet would be to look at porn? Was that in anyone's mind when they created the internet?
The porn providers must have thought of it.
They must have thought we couldn't get luckier.
And and that's, you bring up an interesting point in that porn has been at the forefront of a number of technological advances. They embraced VHS technology before everybody else. They embraced the internet before everybody else, and they've embraced, from what I understand, AI. And
Yeah.
there's something to be said for that.
There is. I don't know what should be said, and we want to keep this PG rated, I'm sure, but
Oh yeah.
it's like this for so many things. It's impossible. That's what I mean. It's impossible to consider the many avenues that someone will figure out how to travel. I'm not saying we shouldn't create, I'm not saying we shouldn't innovate, but we need to be prepared whenever we do for these possibilities. I don't know where AI started. I'm not bright enough to know that. I do remember when I first heard about cloning and thought, huh, I wonder if that's a good idea. And that occurred in reading a Spider-Man comic back in the 70s. I thought, oh, they're cloning in that. And about that time, they were cloning sheep. And, I started thinking about, boy, I would like to clone my pets. And wouldn't that be cool? And then, of course, the ethical issues that came in that. And Okay, well, artificial intelligence, we all, if you know, if a certain generation, we remember watching 2001, What
Hmm.
Happens When the Computer Runs Amok, um, a great sci-fi plot. But I wonder now if we're in the sci-fi plot. Again, not to be paranoid and conspiracy theorist on anyone, but can you imagine? I watched the Jetsons as a kid, and they had these weird devices where you could actually talk to someone on a screen.
Yeah.
Just imagine. I thought I'd never live to see it. I
Yeah.
certainly thought you'd be able to walk into any place in America and buy some pot before that would happen.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. I thought I just knew one day I'd be, they were going to legalize it. I thought this is too stupid.
I honestly never thought I'd see it legal. Not on a recreational level. Not on a recreational level. I'm happy it is. It's fantastic, but
I don't know what I know when I've been to New York. I know that you can just walk around New York and people are smoking all over the place. You
yeah.
don't quite do that in South Carolina. You can buy a reasonable amount at a CBD store that might work for you a bit. And you can buy pre-rolled joints that have a little bit of THC. It's controlled,
Yeah.
very minimal amount. However, you can buy these THC seltzer drinks
Mhm.
that have 20 milligrams of THC in each drink.
That's the dirty secret of those THC infused drinks is that you can't drink a 12-ounce can in one sitting.
Not at 20 milligrams. You can
No.
five. Five is fine. I found out that 10 is even too much. I
For
found out,
for me it is as well.
yeah.
You know, my first experience was that I was in Colorado and I got one of those. I got a soda and I'm like, okay, cool. And I was getting ready to fly back home and I drank it and I'm like, oh, this is not good. This is too much.
Yeah. So how do we get by with that? Someone, not that I want them to look too closely at it, because at 5 milligrams, it's perfectly pleasant. It's a nice little buzz.
Hmm.
It's a relaxer, but I'm not sure where I got off on this subject, but it's a crazy world where we can allow people to freely look at, well, freely, you're not going to look at porn without being charged on the internet, I think. I don't know. But you can do that any old time you want to. And you still, in this state, women are increasingly not being able to control their own bodies legally. And it's very hard to get high legally still in this state.
Really?
Yeah, you can cheat on AI all you want to.
Wow. Note to self: don't move to South Carolina.
Um, Greenville, where I live, is a wonderful town, and within the city limits of Greenville, you can do almost everything that you can do anywhere else. I do smell people riding by with pot in the car, so no one's really out to get you in that regard here. But yeah, if you're looking to be really aware of contraception, of what happens if you have an unwanted pregnancy and issues of that sort, maybe South Carolina isn't where you want to be.
Wow. Does your college have they back to AI? Has your college instituted any rules around AI?
The college per se has not.
Okay.
They're leaving it up to individual departments, which I think is a good thing, because I don't know what the biologists are doing with AI. I don't know what they think about it.
Mm.
Those of us in the humanities, I think almost to a department, have a no AI policy. I have a colleague, I really like the way he's the guy I'm writing the book with on SEC football. It's coming out next year. But his policy is if he thinks it's AI, he just hands it back to the student and says, prove to me that this is not AI. And for him, it works because he's so thick skinned. He doesn't matter. He doesn't care what they think about him for doing it.
Yeah.
I like that. And were I going to teach longer, I would try to develop thicker skin about that too. I do give it back and I do say, I think you're using it. here's what I think and here's where I think it. But he just refuses to look any further, and he'll give you a 0 if you don't show him.
Wow. Well, good for him.
Yeah.
I mean,
So that's the history department policy, and we don't have a uniform policy in English that says exactly what you should do, but most of us won't accept it and will really penalize it or turn you into the honor council.
the honor council.
Oh
That
yeah,
sounds ominous. That sounds ominous.
it's just exactly what it sounds like. Someone devised this, and it sounds like a military school, and I think it's an old policy where the students control the honor council, and if you get turned in, students investigate, students sit in judgment. There's usually one faculty person on the honor council that tries a case, but if you get found guilty and no one is willing to give you extenuating circumstances, you not only fail that class, you fail every class for the semester automatically. Yeah. So you really don't want to go there. I don't want to send a student there unless I'm finding what they've done to be so outrageous that I don't want to deal with it.
Wow, that's the scene right out of Animal House.
Yeah.
Wow. I
Yeah.
didn't think such a thing existed.
Students can be much harder on each other than a professor ever will be, by the way.
Interesting. I wonder why that is.
As part of the honor council too, see what you think about this. If you suspect that one of your fellow students has cheated, and that student can be a friend or a colleague, you are obligated, according to the honor council, to turn them in.
Well, that seems a little strict. That seems a little.
Now, the guy who was sponsor of the honor council who helped get this put in taught ethics.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Is it or is it not ethical behavior to turn in somebody to the authorities? I mean, you are upholding honor, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's no denying that, but I just don't think that sounds. My mind immediately goes to like Nazi Germany,
Yeah.
or you're obligated to turn people in. And I'm like, well, that's horrible.
My parents taught me as a kid never to snitch on anybody.
Huh. Snitches get stitches.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like there's a certain, I don't know if it's honor or integrity, but I don't want to be responsible for what someone else does unless it's really inflicting harm.
Yeah.
So, and I'll tell students, okay, I might not catch you cheating. I mean, here's what the honor council says. This is up to you, though. Some of us can live quite well having cheated. And if you can, fine, you get to look yourself in the mirror at night. And if that's okay with you, it's your life. Go ahead, whatever you want to do. I mean, I believe in freedom to that extent. However, if I catch you and it's very clear, then you do have to pay the consequences, whether that's my own personal penalties to you or the honor council.
And to be clear, you've established AI as cheating.
I have. Yeah. It's in my every syllabus I put in there. I even bold it. I even put it in all caps. You can't miss it, although there are students who claim to have missed it. I say it in the first day of class, or here are the things you absolutely cannot do, or else. So it's fair warning, but do you always obey the speed limit? And that's just the way we are.
That is true.
I don't know where AI is going to lead us in this regard, and how much we're willing to. I mean, we're already given so much over to our GPSs, are asking Siri and Alexis and whoever else or Alexa or whoever it is to do these things for us. And we think it's all right. It's not really hurting anything. And we are losing our ability to read roadmaps and to figure things out. Or in my idea, I don't think there's anything wrong with occasionally getting lost,
No, no.
whether it's out there or writing a paper. I don't really know what I want to say. Can you help? Come to me and I'll give you ideas.
Yeah.
But tell me that you're lost and I actually like it. That means that you're in something.
When I used to ride a motorcycle, I would ride just to get lost.
People, great writers have written in fact, I think it's Rebecca Solquit who's written a book called Wanderlust,
Mm.
and basically asking questions about why don't we just wander, WANDER, and see what happens. And I think, yep, I really like that. We don't have to be at point B so quickly.
What is that old saying? I forget who it's attributed to, but not all who wander are lost.
I don't know who that's attributed to either, but I feel like I should, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's very true.
So I don't know. Does this fit in a world where we want everything to be expedient and we want to do our work with the least amount of effort that we can get by with? I don't want to be cynical about this because I know plenty of people don't. But just questions.
Question I don't have an answer for. I think I don't have an answer to that one.
I don't either. I think that's what the responsibility, though, if we're still a free society, which mainly we are, I think it's up to us to ask such questions about ourselves. I try to ask it, and I fail all the time.
Right.
But it is worth asking. And maybe sometimes we can be free enough to not worry so much about, well, I didn't quite make this on time, or I didn't quite get there, but I had fun. The time I got lost in Prague was the greatest adventure of my life.
Oh, wow.
Sort of. It was a great adventure. Maybe I'm being hyperbolic, but it was a great adventure, and I loved the fact that I was lost.
Sort of.
I mentioned that before.
Sort of. Well, cool.
You think we've exhausted the topic?
I think we have, and I think that the net of it is, I don't think AI is going anywhere. So I think people need to reconcile how they can live with it. And if that means not living with it and not dealing with it, that's cool too. But don't punish or penalize people that use it, people that abuse it, that's problematic, but people are always going to abuse things. And people, let's not forget, when the internet came out, people thought it was going to be the end of civilization.
Right.
And now we can't live without it.
Which you kind of question how often you use it and are looking at it. And I don't know if that's good or bad, what's happened to us, but it's something to keep revisiting every few years. Okay, how has this changed the way I go about my life?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll find many good ways, but it won't all be good. Nothing ever is.
No. In fact, I've got to go on and use AI to figure out why I lost camera usage on my other computer.
I'm sure it will tell you and give you all sorts of good ideas, just like I discovered that I still have almost a 50% chance of being okay after the biopsy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine, and I'm not going to blame AI if I'm not, but I didn't realize the percentage was still that high based on what I discovered. So, yeah, good.
Good for you. Good for us.
Good for us.
Well, that's it for this version of Two Guys Talking.
And we managed to do it.
We did. We always do.
Yet
again. Go ahead and.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Terry. Until next time.